Okay guys, back again with another toolbox tour. Today we've got a Cornwell 54-inch Pro Series. This box actually belongs to my good friend Brody. He is a body shop tech, so these tools will be a little bit different than some of the other ones we've seen. And just so you can see the model number, we've got it pulled up in the catalog here. So it's that green one in the middle there. Okay, and let's start off. We can start off with what's on top of the box. What we got?
Right. Notepad, obviously you got to write stuff down. We like to use old paint cups for bolts. It's just easier. Can have a magnetic cut for everything. Speed charger for your Milwaukee M12, M18 stuff. Super handy. Half-hour charge on all batteries, no matter what. 3 different types of polish. Final step, second step, first step. The old jukebox. The old Go Juice. We like rouletted around here. Don't like that unleaded.
Nice.
Top is for plugs and stuff, whatever you're charging. Every body guy has a huge amount of bolts and nuts just randomly because you never know when something's so screwed up.
Yeah, it's very nice to have around.
Cornwell Bible, just in case you need it. First drawer. Push handle ratchet. I do like that guy, just don't use it very often. It's all power tools nowadays. DAs, Snap-on 332nd. This is one of my favorite DAs. It's actually designed to shoot the exhaust of the DA out to where it blows the dust away from you and out of your face. Hutchins doesn't really care that much. It just works. Mini DA, which is also a 332nd. Really nice for like tiny little areas. Sometimes you just can't get in there with a big DA. This is a 532nd, I did forget to mention. Keep my half-inch stuff and my standard stuff in here because nowadays nobody uses standards. We don't do much 69 Chevelles anymore, believe it or not. Triple squares for your German rigs. You don't need too many sockets being a body guy. You just kind of got to make sure you can get the fender off. So we don't really have as many sockets as mechanics just because not as many tight spaces. But you do have your standards here, your snap-on swivels, super handy. There's all that crap. Stepper bit, real nice too. Right angle grinder. You can only keep 50s on it just because taking paint off, you don't want to take metal away. Cookie cutter. Hood prop. Super handy because most people's struts on their cars are blown out for the hood, so that holds it up. Just another ratchet. Cheapy. Punch set. Pokedex and Captain Ginyu hanging out right there if y'all know who that is. Eraser wheel for 3M tape when you take off a molding. It doesn't hurt the paint. Of course, if you hang out on it and overheat it, it definitely will.
Those are really useful.
Super useful. These are aggressive steel burr kits, so like sometimes things don't want to fit very well, so you make the hole bigger. Don't tell anybody that.
Yeah, I'd imagine you run into a lot of situations in bodywork where stuff is not
Especially
perfect.
when you're getting them from Tongyang over in Korea.
Yeah.
It's a real good time. A couple of wrenches. I don't use many wrenches. Most of mine are in my cart. It's a small size, so I like to keep them handy. I like these kind of spur indexed 5-irons because there's always something weird I need to bend, and those are nice and thin, and it gets in tight spots. I can index them however I want. There's just some fine line tape. That's mine. Crescent wrench, yada yada. Hammer set. These are Harbor Freight. They've lasted me. This hammer's probably 10 years old at this point. I've had this thing forever. This one's the same as the Snap-on one, but these actually have lifetime warranty. So if anything ever happens to them, you got yourself the hammer forever.
I really like those Snap-on hammers, by the way, those dead blows.
I do too. The dead blow's killer. These are body hammers. I personally prefer wood handles. Fiberglass handles feel weird to me. These are indexed where you can kind of get on it and have extreme pecker control, if you will.
Gotta control the peckers.
Great control peckers. Body hammers are always pretty well flat nosed. You don't want to use them on actual things to hit because you'll mar your surface and you don't have a good surface anymore. Those are nice for long crinkles, obviously spots. You can tap in with that. It's real handy. Real handy stuff.
And what was the deal with these wrenches over here?
These are what Cornwell calls, I think, speed drive. A lot of times I don't have time per se to like take something off to get to something because that's just not fun. So these come down, get on your bolt, and you can ratchet back, get a hook, and come back around without having to get off, get back on.
Okay, so it's like ratcheting for open end, kind of.
Saves you quite a bit of time.
All right.
Back here, this is called a spoon. Sometimes fenders get smacked in where they mount to doors and stuff, so you stick this in there and you can bend a body line in or out, pull a door frame up, or however it works, whatever you need to do with it. kind of a dolly on a stick, but you know, you hit it, you can knock something back in, however it may be.
Okay.
This is an actual just dolly, just solid metal. Has a flat side and a rounded side depending on what you're hitting. Another dolly, handheld. Cornwell stuff likes to rust. Not sure why. Not real happy about it, but it's nice because you can fold something.
Okay.
Or if you need better hammer control, or you're doing light stuff that doesn't require a hammer.
I've seen those. I just never knew what exactly you're supposed to do with
They're
them.
very handy. I grabbed that one first. I just got this because we ran into a situation. This is called a shrinking dolly. Sometimes when metal gets hit, you end up pulling it and it stretches, it pulls the shit apart. So what you do is you take this on the back side and the hammer and you hit it and you create dimples in the metal and that pulls it together.
Okay.
They make shrinking hammers too, but these are pretty handy.
All right.
Got more surface area to play with. That's an electronic digital caliper. Sometimes I check odd socket size with that or whatever I'm doing. I'm sure y'all have seen these in some mechanic boxes.
Yes.
Digital as always, super handy, very accurate. Moving on, rest of the drawers are kind of crappy. Most of the stuff's in my cart. These big hooks I do love, just because tiny hooks, you know, they bend and you can't get a good grab. Those are handy for things that need to move or you drop something. Fluid evacuator for whatever, if the power steering mount's screwed on the inner apron of the hood or something, I can extract it basically.
So it's not a penis pump?
Nope, it is not. Yes. This I just use for fluid, so I put sandpaper on it. If you need a nice stiff round block, just kind of something handy to keep in there. These are extra parts. Hose clamps for when you don't want to lose coolant in places. Plastic pry tools. These are actually for emblems or door panels. They're plastic, so they won't mar paint. You can get behind stuff pretty easy.
That's sweet.
Just an old Stanley deal there. Whoop-de-doo, whoop-de-doo. Nothing too interesting there. The electrical drawer. We don't do too much electrical work. Sometimes I do if like a plug gets blown. A lot of cars have the transmission plug in the pan, which is actually facing the front of the vehicle. So if they get hard enough, it can damage that plug. And a lot
Is
of
it
times-
usually pretty obvious when something's like where the electrical issue is when you have a car?
Sometimes there's been a couple I needed a scan tool to see what a GM was telling me is wrong. So like, you know, intermittent or impedance is high, you know, on a headlight. It tells me, hey, there's obviously a wire break, so I can go along and figure out. You just gotta tell if it's high or low beam. Most of the time you'll see like a hit on a wire, but sometimes you can't tell.
Okay.
The one I'm talking about was one that I could not tell. It took me a little bit to find.
Yeah.
Check engine lights are good for that. It's just miscellaneous wires that I've gotten. Test light has ground and positive feed, which makes checking ground circuits a lot easier.
That is nice.
Snap-on DVOM for making sure we got voltage and all that. I really like this DVOM. There's the model number, guys. It was the cheaper middle range one. It does everything I need it to do without like cooking breakfast for me.
And just so everybody in the video knows, that screen's not cracked. It just has the
No.
plastic on it still. So.
I like to leave those on there because
Yeah, me
stuff
too.
bouncing around your toolbox, it does get ripped pretty quickly.
It keeps them nice a lot longer.
Various lights for handiwork. Snap-on. This one was off the Cornwell truck. I forget the brand. Light stick. It's actually a pretty cool light. All magnetic base. That's a clamp. That's a handle for my buffer. That's pretty much it for that drawer, except for your torch.
Oh yeah.
Nice shrink metal. As a body man, you can't have enough vice grips, especially the C-clamp style when you're doing like a bedside or rockers or however. Just some shitty drill bits for burning up. You don't need just Harbor Freight, air hammer, various adapters. This is the peeler, as we like to call it. You can put that in between hunks of metal, and then it actually hammers and makes a big, nice cut for you.
That does work well. I've used that before.
It does. Louder than shit, but it works very well. Then you're just, you know, other attachments help you do your job.
Welding gloves.
Welding gloves, high impact gloves. I'm doing suspension work. I don't blow my knuckles out. Miscellaneous drawer, migraine medicine. You know, if you've worked on a car before, I'm sure you've had one of those cocksuckers. Band-aids, just kind of dumb shit. You know, extra ends, eye drops, nose spray, whatever you want. Beard comb, mask, you know, for the movement that's going on. This is basically my block drawer. I keep some of the old paper. It's a lot easier to tape things up sometimes without the tape on it already from the paper machine. Okay. Basic flat blocks. I keep extra sandpaper that is half used. It's just kind of nice to have that to grab. It's a mess right now. This is kind of the big case drawer. Heat gun from Cornwell, really nice heat gun. Tap and die set. What is that? I forget. Oh, that's a flare nut kit, swell nut kit. So that way you can put those back in. GM loves those damn things.
Like the rib nut things?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, the other tool for doing it without the machine is this guy right here, actually.
Okay. Yeah, those are a pain.
Those are gay. That machine's awesome. Scuff stuff. I don't know if anybody's ever heard of this. It's actually soap that has pumice or walnuts or whatever it is they use for grit. You can actually get water and a piece of red Scotch-Brite, and it soaks up, it scuffs, and cleans at the same time.
Okay.
Nice for like a bug-heavy bumper. Compression tester kit, because a lot of people like to do front-end collisions, run their car out of coolant, and then burn the fucker up, and we got to find that out before we fix it.
That is very true.
Yeah, got to make sure it's stock when you hear smell of sweet fluid. These are the pads associated with the said compounds. First step is wool. I like wool. It heats up quicker. It's more abrasive. I just like it better than foam. Some dudes like foam. I've used foam. I don't have a problem with foam, but my choice is wool. Second step, black pad. Third step, blue pad. This was actually for an engine build I was going to do, but didn't. Dial caliper.
Dial indicator?
Yep.
Yeah, that is sweet. What brand is that? Cornwell or?
This is a, what was it? I forget the brand.
It's whatever.
Anyway, it wasn't a cheap brand, I'll tell you that. That one, the final drawer on this is just kind of my last big drawer. A lot of my guns and stuff I keep in the car because it's quicker, but this is my buffer. For any body guys out there who are curious if these are worth a shit, yes, this thing is awesome. It does chew through batteries, but I just have two 5.0s.
How much time do you get out of one of those?
And you can, if we don't really buff whole cars too often, so like if I'm just doing like two fenders and a hood, I can do that on a whole battery.
Okay.
And sometimes I catch it in between with a half-hour charger. It really doesn't matter. Got another guy who works actually has a 12.0 battery, super heavy, but you won't need to change the battery. But I don't know. These make it lighter, and I like this handle versus that hook thing. It's a lot less in your way. But yes, this buffer is absolutely astounding. Old shitty Ingersoll ram. Don't worry about that. Just a drill. This is the M18 smallest half-inch impact that they do have in this size, I think.
Those are sweet.
I got it because like a lot of times you're doing bed bolts and shit, stuff like that, and the big one does not fit. This one does and has good balls to it. Air rivet gun, does plastic ones too, super handy. This is actually from Harbor Freight. I think they're all made by the same company, so don't waste your money.
Yeah, I'd say you're right, because we've got some others that are just like that, just yellow.
I don't see a point. Here's my M12 Hood Light, super nice when you're working on shit like that. This is a Coolant System. Basically what it does is you put air to it, it acts as a pump, and it pulls it into a vacuum. And then if it starts moving away from that vacuum, you know at positive pressure, when the coolant system is operating, you will have a leak. Pretty handy. Suck it down, and you flip this lever, sucks the fresh coolant in, and it just basically, you know, pulls air out, puts the water in. You don't have to burp it. It's really nice.
That is nice.
Fridge. Everybody's seen a Kenmore mini fridge, I'm sure.
With freezer.
Yeah, with freezer. This is my creeper. Just Cornwell 100-year edition. It's going to be worth millions. A few years, probably, I'd say. So I'm holding on to her. Mask and stuff, whatever. This is the card.
All right, what's the story on this girl? Is this your girlfriend or what?
Yeah, I allowed her to take these pictures. No, we actually owned the music store here in town for a while. And these were actually old guitar wraps, and we just moved everything out of there. And my uncle told me to take that, so I thought, fuck it, I'll put her on something. She's probably like 80 now, if I had to guess, but however. The cart, got the wing, drops down. This thing falls off all the time, but I glued it on, didn't want to do with that. I forget the depth of this thing, but it was just big enough where it wasn't going to be a pain being my way or anybody else's.
Yeah, it looks like you're in fairly tight quarters, so I can see how that would be really useful.
It is nice. Cornwell screwdriver, torch bits set from 30 to 8, I think. Super handy for like doing door handles, shit like that. Sometimes they're not long enough though. I need to get a longer set. Keep all my 1/4 inch stuff here. These are gear wrench swivels. Snap-ons are like $5 billion.
Oh, that is nice.
Those seem to get the job done well. Various extensions. It's not very organized because I work out of it every goddamn day. Here are more metrics in 3/8. It's kind of a set that I've just kind of accumulated. You see there's Snap-on chilling with a bunch of Silver Eagle stuff. I've had these forever.
Dude, this holder, you've had this for like
Yeah.
years and years. It must hold up pretty well then.
Yeah, it's not bad. I actually got those from O'Reilly's, their tool book.
Okay.
Great magnet strength. You can hold it upside down, they don't fall out.
That's
why I like
nice.
it. This is Cornwell's, basically, you know what you call it.
Allen and Torx drivers.
Yeah, and then you
external.
reverse Torx. Pretty good kit, but like I say, Cornwell stuff, like I don't like just spray water on my tools, but apparently they like to act like I do. So that's kind of disheartening. The price was right though, got a good deal on it. Not the end of the world. There's one of those wrenches where you saw that were missing. I keep them all here because, you know, this is what I take to the car. This is actually one of my favorite wrenches. It's a Matco. I don't have the whole set, but these are super nice.
Yeah,
I've had this wrench forever.
That style in general is just so useful.
It's really, really nice. It's got a compartment down here just for whatever. I keep a C-clamp there, a bunch of parts I'm using to work on. Plier rack. If you don't have one, get one because you're wasting a lot of space in your toolbox. This is the Cornwell set. Again, don't know why, but we're falling apart here. Pretty nice. So, Snap-ons will cost you an arm and a leg, but apparently they hold up. Nipex, gotta love them.
Yes, gotta have them.
Great, just a great plier. Love those things. This is C-clamps. This actually reverses, so you can do inner or outer style.
Snap ring pliers.
Yep, snap ring pliers, what I meant to say. These things don't work. If you're gonna, it's a clip puller, but it's in a plier. I bought them, used them once, and asked myself why, so.
Dude, some guys swear by those, but I'm the same way. I don't really like that style.
I mean, I guess if you have the time to dick with it, sure, but time's money over here, baby. We ain't got that kind of time. Wire strippers, an old Snap-on needle nose I've had forever. Just kind of keep them around.
Now, is that one rusting?
They're in about the same shape, but if you notice, actually I got these from the UTI kit when I graduated there in like 2010.
Okay.
So the fact that they're not rusting is a testament itself, I think.
Okay.
This is a seam buster. They make them like this that come up to a 90, or like this, basically when you're drilling out welds, spot welds. Sometimes you don't get it all or grind it all. You slip this behind the hammer, pop the seam, you can get your bedside off or whatever you're working on out pretty easily.
Okay.
Problem is though, you got to get a real heavy metal one, or else you're stuck with it damaging this, and then you're grinding it back down. I've actually ground this down once already. This is from Cornwell. I don't know, it's not their brand, but it's somebody's.
Somebody to carry on the truck.
Not the nicest, but it works. 90-degree Phillips or whatever you need.
Oh, that is cool.
These things are great for wheel wells. We do a lot of that crap. You don't want to take the tire off because we don't have a whole rack in the goddamn building. If you haven't noticed. Another 90-degree bit set. If you don't want to dick with that, or a drill, these are great too. Super handy. They get in everywhere. They come with all the bits. I lost the Phillips, but
yeah,
thing's righteous. I
those
love
are
this thing
nice.
so much. One of the best tools I've bought. And you got your various Milwaukee deals.
M12s.
This is the M12 and it's the chuck one. I really like this because I can put, you know, a Phillips chuck or whatever I want in it, depending on what I'm doing, pretty quickly. And a lot of people don't like the fact that this pulls forward to undo the chuck. But I mean, would you want to be working on something, miss, smack down, then your bit falls out to never land and you never see it again? So
Yeah.
it's not that hard to change. I don't see the issue. So that's super handy. I keep the 1/4 inch on it because that's mainly what I use it for. Various batteries. This is the 3/8. Had this thing for a while. Pretty good little impact. And the 6.0 batteries hold a hell of a charge. So if you're skeptical about going up to those, I think it's awesome having an issue with it.
That is nice how small that is to be a 3/8 still.
Yeah, and it has balls. Like it'll break a wheel loose if you ask it to. This one's got 100 foot-pounds too, actually, on the 3rd step. I just leave it there. This is a great little gun too.
Yeah, I mean that's pretty strong for something that's going to be doing screws, not bolts, you know.
And especially with all this loss in torque right here with the wiggle, yeah, it does amazing. Ratchets, 3/8, 1/4. I use the absolute shit out of this thing.
Is that the quarter or 3/8?
This is the quarter.
Okay, yeah.
I only really use quarter because a lot of stuff, like I say, we work on doesn't need 500 foot-pounds of torque. It just needs
Yeah, and you're in such
roughly
tight
80
areas.
posts. Exactly. They actually make the fuel one of these, and the body is like just as big as this one, but that really defeats the purpose of this getting into tighter places. So I didn't get that one. This isn't fuel, but it does just fine. It'll still break a bolt if you're not careful.
I've heard that same complaint about the fuels from other guys as well.
And yeah,
Being so huge.
well, that guy actually has one, but I don't like it personally. Then you got the side storage. I didn't really like color coordinate things. I just kind of go off purpose. But this is like a set of old screwdrivers I had from actually the UTI kit when I graduated. This thing is the handiest thing in the world. I love those long screwdrivers from Snap-on, especially the Snap-on's ends. They're excellent.
Oh yes.
Got to have your crow's feet
Trim tool.
I got a big one and a small one. The big one's probably over there somewhere. Being used. Yeah, just basic stuff. Short screwdrivers. These angled clip pullers are actually really great too for like hoods, because you have that pad on top and you can't pry and you rip that. This is good to find a nice bridge on the hood and knock it loose.
I've always wanted to get that set. I just haven't bought them yet.
They weren't, I think they were a tad pricey, but after I had them for a month, I was just kind of like, okay, well, they paid for themselves. Baby picks are here. Those are, you got the booger hook, the 90s. I'm sure you guys have seen those.
Oh yeah.
Fuck up retrieval tool. You know, have a lot of those around here. Oh, something you didn't mention. These are pretty nice. Sometimes when we're done with a customer's car and you know, you put a new hood on it, you didn't do a fender, fender looks like ass. So what we do is we go through with the paint that we use to paint the car and just kind of touch up all the spots, trying to help you guys out.
So this is like a small paintbrush or what?
Yep. It's got fuzz on the end that sucks up paint. They make them in different sizes, but this one's a medium, so you just boop. That way you're not dealing with like a paintbrush.
Yeah.
Then it's not a good touch up, because you only want to touch up the area that's not painted.
Yeah.
Otherwise you get a real bad look. So those are handy for that. Just your regular paint markers for marking shit. Just marked one on that hood because it came damaged, so I'll have to fix that. You know, the koozie, you know, for the real work. You know, when that begins.
All right.
Other than that, that's pretty much all I got. Oh, the chair. My ass just goes on it. Nothing real special.
Hey, that serves a purpose.
It does. A lot of body work's done sitting down because we work on the ground. So
It's true.
you can imagine working like that versus sitting down and being comfortable and doing what you need to do. So.
One other thing I want to show you guys on the toolbox too, on this Pro series, the handles are a little bit different. So normally on your Cornwell boxes, you got to lift like this whole piece here. On these, it's actually got a piece you push on the bottom here, which I like that a lot better. That is nice. So you can see, you squeeze it instead of having to lift this up. So to me, that's nice. And that's always been my complaint about like the Epic series on the Snap-on too, is they have, you got to lift this whole thing up, and I just don't like that. I like being able to grab something with my fingers. So I thought that was cool.
Maybe they want to know that too. The locking mechanism is really neat. It's all digital. The only bummer is if it dies, you got to like have a watch battery on hand. But I've had this thing for a little over a year, and I haven't had any problem. You just, it's locked, and you punch in your code.
We'll look over here.
Yep, hit enter. Once it's done, gives you the noise. When you're back in business, allowed to do your job.
Okay, cool.
Nice not carrying around a key, honestly.
Yeah, that is pretty nice. Okay, so that's been the Cornwell 54-inch Pro Series. Hang on, we'll wait for the phone to go around. Hopefully you guys saw some cool tools in there. If you got any questions, comment below. Thanks a lot.
No problem.